If you remember Radagast the Brown from the Hobbit movies, you probably picture a very specific character. You picture the eccentric wizard with a rabbit sled, the bird nest under his hat, and the frantic, nervous energy. It was a fun performance, and it brought a lot of lighthearted moments to a dark story. But if you dig into the original writings of J.R.R. Tolkien, you find a character who is almost unrecognizable from that version. In the books, Radagast wasn't a comic relief. He was a master of shapes. He was a spy who controlled the skies of Middle-earth. And he was a wizard so formidable that even Gandalf the Grey, the wisest of them all, defended him when others called him a fool. The movie simplified him, which is understandable for a blockbuster. But in doing so, we lost one of the most fascinating layers of the lore. Today, we are going to look at the real Radagast, the one who saved Gandalf's life, the one who Saruman was forced to drag to Middle-earth, and the one whose ultimate fate remains one of Tolkien's greatest mysteries. To understand why Radagast is so misunderstood, we have to go back to the very beginning, the Council of the Valar. When the gods decided to send emissaries to Middle-earth to fight Sauron, they didn't just pick random volunteers. This was a carefully calculated mission, and the dynamics of the team were set before they even arrived. Saruman was the first choice. He was the volunteer. He was powerful, ambitious, and eager. He was selected by Aula, the smith god, representing craft, industry, and order. Gandalf was selected by the king of the Valar, Manwë. But Gandalf didn't want to go. He was afraid of Sauron. He had to be ordered to go, accepting the burden out of duty, not pride. Then there was Radagast. He wasn't selected by the king or the smith. He was chosen by Yavanna, the queen of the earth. But here is the dramatic part that changes everything about his relationship with Saruman. Radagast wasn't sent alone. Yavanna begged Saruman to take Radagast with him. This is the root of all the hostility. Saruman didn't want a partner. He especially didn't want a nature lover tagging along. He viewed Radagast as a burden imposed on him by Yavanna. This is why Saruman treats him with such contempt later. It's not just because Radagast is simple, it's because Radagast represents a debt Saruman never wanted to pay. But once they arrived, Radagast didn't just wander aimlessly. He took up a post on the front lines. While Saruman settled in Isengard and Gandalf wandered the west, Radagast built his home at Rhosgobel. This location is crucial context that is often overlooked. Rhosgobel wasn't just a random cottage, it was located on the borders of Mirkwood, dangerously close to Dol Guldur. For centuries, Radagast lived virtually next door to the necromancer, who we later find out was Sauron himself. While the White Council was debating what to do, Radagast was living in the shadow of the enemy, maintaining a watch over the forest while it slowly darkened into corruption. You don't survive next door to Sauron for 1,000 years by being a bumbler. You survive by being vigilant. So, what were his powers exactly? We know Gandalf has his fire and light. We know Saruman has his voice and machinery. What did Radagast bring to the table? In the book The Fellowship of the Ring, Gandalf calls him a master of shapes and changes of hue. This is a very specific, high-level magic. It implies Radagast wasn't just talking to squirrels. It suggests he had mastery over illusions, camouflage, and perhaps even skin changing. Think about Beorn, the skin changer who could turn into a bear. It is highly implied that Radagast's knowledge of beasts went far beyond simple communication. He understood the very fabric of nature. He could likely blend into the forest so perfectly that not even orcs could find him. This makes sense for his role. He wasn't a warrior like Gandalf, he was a scout. His greatest power was information. Saruman had the Palantir, but the Palantir was dangerous. It let Sauron look back. Radagast had the birds. He had eyes in every tree and every cloud. This was a spy network that couldn't be hacked by Sauron. And this leads us to the most important scene for Radagast's character, which the movies left out. In the Fellowship of the Ring, Gandalf doesn't just go to Saruman because he feels like it. He goes because Radagast tells him to. Radagast rides all the way from Mirkwood to find Gandalf near Bree. He warns him that the ringwraiths are abroad, but then he delivers a message from Saruman. Come to Isengard, I can help you. Radagast didn't know Saruman had turned evil. He thought he was helping. He unwittingly sent his best friend, Gandalf, into a trap. Radagast is the reason Gandalf gets captured. It is a tragic moment. His trust was weaponized against him. But, and this is the redemption, he is also the reason Gandalf survives. Because Gandalf, being smart, tells Radagast, send messages to the beasts. Tell the eagles to check on Isengard. Radagast does exactly that. He sends Gwaihir, the Windlord. If Radagast had been lazy, or if he had ignored Gandalf's request, Gandalf would have died on that tower. Radagast cleaned up his own mess. The eagles didn't just show up by magic. They showed up because the brown wizard organized the rescue. So, why does everyone say he failed? After the Council of Elrond, Radagast vanishes. The scouts go to his home at Rosgobel, and it is empty. He is never seen in the War of the Ring. He doesn't fight at Minas Tirith. He doesn't march on the Black Gate. Tolkien himself wrote in a letter that Radagast failed his mission because he became enamored of the many beasts and birds that dwelt in Middle-earth, and forsook elves and men. From a military perspective, yes, he failed. He abandoned the war effort to protect the forest. But there is a deeper philosophical layer here. The battle between Saruman and Radagast wasn't just wizard versus wizard. It was industry versus nature. Saruman represented the machine, cutting down trees, breeding orcs, forging weapons. Radagast represented the wild, the trees, the birds, the preservation of life. While Saruman was burning the world to the ground to create order, Radagast was trying to save the things that lived in it. I argue he didn't fail his creator. Remember, Yavanna sent him. Yavanna cares about the Kelvar and the Olvar, the animals and the plants. While the other wizards played politics, someone had to remember what they were fighting for. Radagast didn't fight for the kingdoms of men, he fought for the soul of the earth. And considering the eagles, his friends, ended up saving the day multiple times, maybe his method worked better than we give him credit for. Radagast the Brown wasn't a fool. He was a tragic figure, a spirit of nature forced into a war of industry. He was a reluctant hero who was manipulated by Saruman, but who ultimately provided the escape route that saved the entire quest. So the next time you see the bunny sled, enjoy it for the fun movie moment that it is. But remember, the real brown wizard didn't need a sled. He had the respect of the eagles, the trust of Gandalf, and the secrets of the wild. If you enjoyed this deep dive, check out this video here about why the movies also changed the Witch King. And let me know in the comments, do you think Radagast failed, or did he just have a different mission? Thanks for watching the Arda Chronicles.